Hi, welcome to Cards by Kendra. Today I'm super excited to share with you this bobblehead surfer birthday card that I made using Simon Hurley's Surf's Up stamp set and his Scene Maker stencil. And to make the bobble, I used these action wobbles. I was able to order some of Simon Hurley's inks, and this is my first time using these inks. And I'm also using the Picket Fence Life Changing blender brushes, as well as a punch that has been discontinued from Stampin' Up. Now, I originally thought I was going to do like a cloud scene with waves and then some brown for the beach part, but I kind of ran out of room. And anyway, so I started out with Tumbled Glass Distress Oxide ink, and I really should have tested out the colors first, because I guess with me using the blender brush, whenever I went to apply Simon Hurley's Remember Me, I thought I was going to use that as the water when I flipped the stencil over to make waves, but it was too similar to the tumbled glass. And it could be that I'm just using these blender brushes. But I decided that because the color was so similar that I would go on top of it with the Tropical Tango. I'm using Nina Solar White 80-pound cardstock to make this scene, so I'm kind of curious as to what the difference would be if I used the Stark White cardstock by Simon. And I also would like to try the domed foam blending tools from scrapbook.com. I have those, but I was trying to have a little bit more control with the brush because in the past I've accidentally put some stars in my clouds with the Scene Maker, so make sure you mask that off if you're going to try to make this card. Okay, so now I'm using my stamping platform in a very awkward position. I tried to make it to where you could see what I was doing in the camera, and so I put the platform where the top plate is top folding, and so it made it difficult for me to ink it up. But I am using Memento Tuxedo Black ink because it's Copic marker friendly. And I've stamped that down twice, and now I am stamping the sentiment that says Surf's Up in the Remember Me color. So I just want to mention, if you're using a stamping platform, you probably want to stamp the body and the head separately, otherwise it's going to look like the head is floating like it does here on mine. So now I am coloring. I'm starting with the hair. I am listing all of the colors that I've used of the Copic markers in the description box below, so check those out. If you haven't yet, please click the subscribe button down below to subscribe to my channel. I've slowed down my coloring some just so that I can show you. I'm trying to make my surfer be a buff dude, so I'm adding a six-pack and some muscles here. And I thought this was pretty funny. Whenever I showed this card to my husband, he says, "Is that me?" He likes to work out. I don't think he has a six-pack like this dude does, but I think this is pretty cute. So now I'm stamping out my surfboard. I'm using Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And my first impression here was not a very good one, so I'm deciding to do it again. And just so you know, I am using a mouse pad because I found that I can get a better stamp impression when I use it. This one's definitely much better. So I'm going to be taking some of the colors, and I'm just using the edge of the ink pad, starting out with Prom Queen, and then next I'm adding Crown Me, and then I'll be adding the Remember Me, and finishing this rainbow surfboard off with Tropical Tango. So because I wanted to add some shine to my surfboard, I am stamping over the top of those colors with some Versamark clear ink, and I'm adding clear embossing powder to the back. I have to take my paintbrush and brush off the excess powder because I forgot to use my embossing buddy and so I have those little stray flakes everywhere. And now I'm applying my heat gun to heat set it. I always like to put the gun on the back side so it doesn't warp my paper. I know it's kind of hard to see in the camera, but the embossing powder just adds a little bit of a shine to it. Now I am taking my scissors and I am fussy cutting out the surfboard. I used my brother's Scan and Cut for cutting out the surfer dude because there were a lot of little nooks and crannies. I thought scissors might be faster for the surfboard. So here's my headless surfer card. No, just kidding. I went ahead and glued everything down. I cut the scene, the background scene, down to 3 3/4 by 5. I put a frame around it. I cut out the sentiment using the punch. I adhered the surfboard and the body and the strip down at the bottom that says "Happy Birthday, Hot Stuff." I put those on with foam squares. And I brushed over my Happy Birthday Hot Stuff with the Remember Me that was left on my blending brush. And so for the head, I put one of those action wobblers. That's the side that actually gets stuck to the back of the head, and then that's the side that gets placed down on the paper. So I pulled his head off because I'd already assembled the card when I realized that I didn't record the assembly. So I just made him headless for a second, and I'm just sticking him back on. Now, one thing I did do is I took the Nuvo crystal drops and I just added a little bit to both of his eyes just to give it a little bit of extra shine. And there's my card for today. I hope you like it. Please leave me a comment, like, subscribe, and make sure you follow me on Instagram, Pinterest, and find me on Facebook at Cards by Kendra. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful day.